The cub was already bleeding out when I heard him cry, a sound so raw and terrified that it cut through the storm and lodged itself in my chest like a blade. I had no reason to stop. The planet Kairos, 9 was forbidden to humans, a graveyard world where even orbital scans were considered suicidal. My shuttle was damaged, my distress beacon shattered, and every survival instinct screamed at me to keep moving. But that cry wasn't a threat or a challenge. It was pain. Pure and undeniable. And for reasons I still don't fully understand, I followed it. That decision would rewrite the fate of an entire clan. I found him curled beneath the shattered ribs of a dead leviathan, rain washing dark blood into the black sand. The cub was not small by human standards. Even wounded, he was the size of a large wolf, all muscle and jagged bone plates. His silver eyes unfocused with shock. I recognized the species instantly. Kharaxi. Apex predators. Galactic war legends. They called their young cubs, but there was nothing gentle about them. Except now. He tried to snarl when he saw me, but it came out as a wet hiss. One of his forelimbs was nearly severed, bones splintered, flesh torn by plasma fire. This wasn't an accident. This was an execution left unfinished. I should have run. Instead, I dropped my pack and knelt in the blood-soaked sand. I remember thinking absurdly that his eyes were the color of a stormy sky. What I didn't know then was that Kharaxi law demanded mercy be punished by death. And I was about to commit the greatest crime of my life. My name is Elias Rowan. I was a xenobiologist once, before the war took my lab, my crew, and my faith in civilized space. I had studied alien physiology from sterile screens and simulations. None of that mattered now. The cub's breathing was shallow, his pulse erratic. He had minutes, maybe less. I activated my medkit, hands shaking, and spoke softly, not because I thought he'd understand the words, but because silence felt wrong. "I'm not going to hurt you," I said. "I promise." His claws twitched. His eyes locked onto mine. And then he collapsed. Every alarm in my kit screamed at once. Kharaxi blood chemistry was toxic to humans, but I didn't hesitate. I sealed my gloves, injected stabilizers, and began the impossible work of repairing a body evolution had never intended me to touch. What I saw next changed everything. As I worked, strange symbols began to glow beneath his skin, faint lines of light pulsing in rhythm with his heart. Ancient markings. Ritual bioengrams. I had read myths about them. Warrior rites burned into flesh at birth, activating only under extreme stress. This cub wasn't just injured. He was chosen. The storm raged for hours. I lost track of time, of pain, of fear. When the final seal locked and his breathing steadied, I slumped back, exhausted and shaking. I had done it. Against all odds, the cub lived. That was when the ground began to shake. They came out of the rain like living nightmares. Full-grown Kharaxi warriors, towering and armored in natural plating, eyes burning with controlled fury. Plasma blades hummed to life. I counted at least 8. An execution squad. I raised my hands slowly, standing between them and the cub without thinking. "He's alive," I said, my voice barely steady. "I helped him." Their leader stepped forward, scars etched deep into his face. His gaze flicked from me to the cub, then back again. "You have interfered with the trial of blood," he growled, his translator rendering the words with chilling clarity. "The weak are culled. The strong survive alone." "He's a child," I snapped. "You left him to die." "He failed," the leader replied. "That is death." The cub stirred behind me, weak but breathing. The leader raised his blade. And then the cub did something none of us were prepared for. He crawled forward and pressed his bloodied forehead against my leg. A gesture of submission. Of bond. A gasp rippled through the warriors. Their formation faltered. The leader froze, eyes wide with something dangerously close to fear. "The cub has chosen," one whispered. I didn't understand then, not fully. But I would. They didn't kill me. Not then. Instead they took us both. I was brought to the Kharaxi stronghold, a colossal city carved into the bones of a dead world. I was imprisoned, interrogated, studied like an anomaly. Humans were fragile, emotional, illogical. I had no place among them. Except the cub refused to leave my side. His name I learned was Reek. Reek healed faster than anyone expected. Too fast. His injured limb regenerated, stronger than before, reinforced with living crystal bone. The elders whispered of prophecy, of an ancient warrior reborn through impossible means. They also whispered my name. The human who defied the trial. The turning point came months later, during the rite of ascension. Reek was thrown into the arena against 3 seasoned warriors. It was meant to be a spectacle. A lesson. Instead, it became a massacre. Reek moved with terrifying grace, every strike precise, every decision calculated yet fueled by something deeper. Not rage. Purpose. He won without killing them, pinning each opponent in submission. Mercy. The crowd erupted in chaos. This is not what I expected, one elder snarled. He fights like a human. They blamed me. They were right. That night they came for me. Reek broke through the chamber doors before they could touch me, roaring defiance into the darkness. He stood between me and his own kind, eyes blazing. I live because of him, Reek declared. I fight because of him. Kill him, and you kill what I have become. Silence followed. Heavy. Dangerous. Then the leader who had spared me before stepped forward and knelt. The clan has grown stagnant, he said. Perhaps. This is evolution. War came soon after. An external threat. The same force that had tried to execute Reek as a cub returned in full, seeking to erase the Kharaxi entirely. Reek led the defense. I watched from the command spire as he rallied warriors not with fear, but with trust. He fought at the front, unstoppable, a living legend. He saved lives. He spared enemies who surrendered. He changed the rules of war. They called him the greatest warrior of his clan. Not because he killed the most, but because he chose not to. When the war ended, Reek came to me, armor scorched, eyes still that stormy silver I remembered from the rain. You saved me, he said. But more than that, you showed me another way to be strong. I smiled, tears blurring my vision. I just didn't let you die, I replied. He placed a massive clawed hand over his heart. No, he said softly. You taught me how to live. As my rescue ship finally descended from the stars, I realized something that would stay with me forever. On the most violent world I had ever known, humanity didn't conquer. It healed. And the galaxy would never be the same again.